roster. We're going to take a look at it. Will any changes need to be made? Also, do the Dodgers have a TV deal that's a cheat code? That's the reason behind them making all these big-time signings. We're going to look at that. Shohei Ohtani delivers an incredible speech in all English. We'll talk about decoy and was Shohei doing some Paul Skeens recruiting. All that more coming up next on Dodgers Dugout Live.
It's time for Dodger baseball. Welcome to Dodger Stadium.
This is the golden age of Dodger baseball. The Dodgers are building a dynasty.
You got it, Warrior Parade! We got it, Parade! The Dodgers punch back and head to the championship series! Ohtani starts the 50-50 clock! Mookie Magic! Freeman hits the ball to right field! She is gone! Start the party, Los Angeles! Your Dodgers have won the World Series!
Think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.
Live from the heart of Los Angeles, this is Dodgers Dugout Live with your host, Doug McKain.
What is up, Dodgers Nation, and welcome to another episode of Dodgers Dugout Live, the #1 Dodgers podcast and Dodgers show on YouTube. My name is Doug McKain. I cover the Dodgers for Dodgers Nation, a credentialed member of the media. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and if you want to support every single episode and everything we do here, hit the like button, drop a comment down below. Podcast listeners, write us a review. We'll read it on the show. This is a live show. You know what that means? We're looking for all of your fire takes. We're looking for all your comments of the show. We've got BDR rocking with us, Big Dog Rob, looking for all your fire takes, looking for all your questions, all your thoughts, your comments about all things Dodger baseball. We'll give out a comment of the show a little later during the 7th inning stretch, so be on the lookout for that. Today's Dodgers Dugout Live poll question of the show. I asked you guys over on the X, what grade would you give the Dodgers offseason? And right now, 83% say A, 16% say B, 2% say C, and as you would expect, 0% say D. Might be a D or F for other teams, but not for the Los Angeles Dodgers. They're valedictorians. They're straight A students, honor roll, principals list. They are getting straight A's for the last couple of off seasons. So we'll talk about that. Going to reset the roster a little bit. This show is brought to you by GearUp.LA, the official merchandise store of Dodgers Nation. Go get the best t-shirts in the game to support your Los Angeles Dodgers over at GearUp.LA and the LA Sports Report. We're going to give away a Kyle Tucker jersey over there. So subscribe to the LA Sports Report. Hit the notification bell. Hit the like button over there. We're going to be going on a little later to talk about the Rams. Their season's over. Talk the Lakers, talk Dodgers over there. But there's so much to get into in the world of Dodger baseball. So let's get right into it.
Leading off, the hottest story in Dodger baseball.
All right, so the hottest story in Dodger baseball is this continued narrative that the Dodgers have a clear-cut financial advantage and that they have essentially this cheat code over the rest of the sport. And yes, for an organization that is iconic, that plays their baseball in a major market, that has a big-time TV deal, $8.25 billion from Time Warner originally, now Spectrum Sportsnet. Yes, you are close to the top in revenue. Yes, you have over 4 million fans a year. Yes, you're making it deep into the postseason and winning World Series titles. But is their advantage too much? And are teams out there getting frustrated to the point where they want a salary cap, where they want to change the revenue structure? My response to that is don't bite the hand that feeds you. And it does feel like the rest of the league is starting to want to make some changes. And today, Bill Shaken of the LA Times, he came out with a piece that broke this all down and discussed what the Dodgers TV deal does and if it gives the Dodgers special treatment. And we're going to get into it. I'm going to break down some of my big takeaways, things that I think you need to know as Dodgers fans, so you have ammunition anytime you hear people out there saying the Dodgers are ruining baseball, they spend too much money, they have an advantage, let's just give them the trophy already. But there was also a report from June Lee about this TV deal that the Dodgers got themselves into after Frank McCourt derailed the team. And here, check this out.
The first big turning point came when the Dodgers partnered with Time Warner Cable to launch Sportsnet LA. But because the Dodgers had just gone bankrupt and MLB wanted to help one of their historic franchises get better, there was an exception in the contract. Under MLB rules, teams are supposed to share a big chunk of their local TV money with the rest of the league. Think of it like a tax system. Big market teams help smaller teams so everyone has a chance to compete. That tax is roughly 1/3 of the team's local TV money. But when the Dodgers signed their TV deal, it completely shattered expectations. The deal was roughly $8 billion over 25 years, far more than MLB had projected. If MLB applied its typical formula, the Dodgers would have owed about $95.2 million a year into revenue sharing. But here's the twist. Because the Dodgers had just gone bankrupt, MLB agreed in federal court to lock in a fair market value for the rights of Dodgers baseball games on television. With the number the court decided, the Dodgers only had to pay $28.6 million per year, saving nearly $66.6 million every single season. It's like if the Dodgers built a mansion, but MLB kept taxing them as if they were living in a small house. And according to a leaked source, that exception doesn't expire until 2039, when the Dodgers TV deal expires. In other words, for nearly 3 decades, the Dodgers TV revenue is going to be taxed as if they were still a bankrupt franchise. That is completely unprecedented in American sports history, and it's one of the things the Dodgers have taken advantage of to make sure they can win as much as possible during this window.
So some interesting stuff in there. And not all those facts and figures are 100% accurate. Some of that stuff can be fluid based on year-to-year projections and things like that. But let's dive into it. And now let's talk about Bill Shaken's piece that I thought really sheds a lot of light on the truth about this. And look, before we kind of get into the kind of money that they're making and how that helps them, let's not forget that the owners in Major League Baseball, they made a massive mistake when they approved of the sale to Frank McCourt originally. And that was a humongous mistake because he didn't have the money and the financial backing really to legitimately own an MLB franchise. It was a house of cards level of finances that you knew at some point, because he was leveraging his assets to be able to make that move, to make that transaction, that ultimately the organization was not going to be stable and that there was going to be a lot of financial issues that they were ultimately going to have. But how does that help the Dodgers? Well, okay. In 2011, after Bud Selig had rejected a $3 billion local television deal that Frank McCourt had set up with Fox Sports, McCourt was trying to get that financial windfall to save his ownership of the Dodgers. And when Bud Selig did not approve of that, well, immediately Frank McCourt, he took the team to bankruptcy court and he agreed. And that was before he agreed to sell the franchise. So that means basically that Bud Selig and the owners, they were not going to be able to pick the new Dodgers owner, and Frank McCourt would be able to. And in that process, it was also going to be controlled by the court. So the Dodgers local TV rights deal was going to expire, and McCourt realized that the team and how much it was worth, if they put that on the open market to bidders, he was going to be able to make a lot more money. So if the bidders knew in advance how much the league would take from the sale of those rights, then that would change things. This is from the piece. It says, in a settlement with McCourt, and to avoid the risk of the judge imposing a deal less favorable to the league, MLB agreed to the fair market value of a Dodgers TV deal, and it will be based on the very Fox deal that Selig had rejected. So why is that important? Well, that value was $84 million for the first year. It would increase after that, with the league taking its standard 34% cut and sharing that among all of its teams. But with that bidding war set to take place between Fox Sports and Time Warner Cable, Bud Selig knew that the rights would be worth more than Fox was going to offer in that extension. So what happened was McCourt needed the money, and that was the only lifeline that he had. So in bankruptcy court, this is from the piece that says, an attorney for Guggenheim, the winning bidder, and still the Dodgers owner, said the settlement represented a, quote, substantial component of the value proposition of the transaction. That is a primary justification for the then record $2.15 billion purchase price. And in 2013, a year after buying the team, Guggenheim sold those local TV rights for a lot more. It wasn't $3 billion. They sold it to Time Warner Cable for a record $8.35 billion. And because of the settlement, the league would take its cut based on a deal worth $3 billion instead of a deal worth $8.35 billion. So you look at those numbers right there, and after they had negotiated, MLB and Guggenheim, they did make an adjustment, setting the, quote, fair market value of the Time Warner deal to around $130 million for the first year instead of $84 million. And they used that number to determine what the league was going to get, which for all local TV deals has gone from 34% to 48%. So basically, you see all the reports out there, and it says the Dodgers are guaranteed $334 million every year. Is that the truth? Is that what they're actually getting? Well, that's the annual average. The deal, it actually was lower and went up every single year. It would increase every single year. And when that deal ends in 2038, the Dodgers will be getting more than $500 million per year. So the big question becomes, wait a second, I thought all of the TV networks and the regional sports networks are failing, with Bally's going bankrupt and Major League Baseball having to fund certain organizations' TV deals and situations. Sure. I mean, you look at a team like the Milwaukee Brewers. They play in the smallest market in Major League Baseball, and they got $35 million from FanDuel last year. $35 million is a far cry from $334 million or $500 million, right? So there's a clear-cut disadvantage there. But the Dodgers are doing business with Charter Communications, which inherited the deal from Time Warner Cable in 2016. And Charter Communications in 2024, they made a revenue of, wait for it, $55 billion. So even if the Dodgers deal isn't profitable for Charter Communications, it's still a drop in the bucket considering how much money they do make. So yes, do the Dodgers have a inherent advantage because of their history, the market they play in, how passionate their fans are, and how invested their fans are? Yes, there's no doubt about that. But the truth is, if the Dodgers were giving up more of this revenue, and you just look at it, I mean, the Dodgers average more fans than every other team. Their attendance is better. Their ratings are better. But if they were to be taking this money and give it to other teams, would they be spending that? Because what people are mad about is that their cheap owners are not getting more handouts, not getting more money. But are they going to take that money and reinvest into their team? Are they really going to be doing that? Would that have changed the Brewers, who let a ace-level pitcher go to the New York Mets for $8 million? I don't think so. Because things are going to change. At some point they will, because the owners are fed up and they think there's a competitive imbalance. And it's pretty clear at this point that they're going to do something about that, because it feels like everyone thinks the Dodgers have this massive advantage. Now, what could change? Well, it talks about it in the piece, and that is that with this TV deal and these big time franchises having just more, like the Yankees have Yes Network, and you see what the Mets have. Look, marquee for Chicago. If you have a bigger market with more fans, you're going to get a bigger TV deal. Like, that's just how it goes. But what could change is in 2028, when Major League Baseball has their national TV contracts expire, Rob Manfred, he's going to want to offer all the networks and streaming services, Apple TV, Amazon, Netflix, whoever wants to throw their hat in the ring, he's going to want to offer them the streaming rights, the TV rights on all of baseball. And he's probably going to want to take away the blackouts. And then he's going to want to share that with all the 30 teams. So if he were able to pull that off, that means the Dodgers wouldn't have that advantage. The Dodgers' local TV revenue, which is a competitive advantage, it absolutely is. But if they had to share that with the teams completely 100%, sure, they would be in a better financial position. I also think that it would be unfair too, though. I think that the Dodgers should be able to enjoy some of their success, and they should be able to take advantage of the decisions that they've made, the investments that they made. And what Bill Shaken points out in this piece is that he said it's hard to imagine Mark Walter, the Dodgers principal owner, and the owners of the other big city teams with similar TV riches to surrender those riches without the league offering them something significant in return. So what would that be in return? Well, it would be possibly the Dodgers being exempt from sharing ticket revenue, or the Dodgers could secure Japanese TV rights, which is now controlled by Major League Baseball. The league could buy Sportsnet LA, but in 2028, that is what's going to be discussed. Before then, they have to get together a new collective bargaining agreement before they even get there. So that last part I think is important too, because the Dodgers, there's no way they're going to say, oh, cool. Yeah, here's our TV rights deal. Let's all be completely equal. Let's treat it like it's the NFL. But the difference is there's 162 games in baseball and not 17 regular season games. And even if, let's say, worst case scenario, the Dodgers were in a position where they would have to give up more of their competitive advantage because of their TV deal, and in a negotiation, they would say, fine, but then we get to keep more of our ticket revenue and things like that. The Dodgers would still be taking advantage of being a franchise that is more well-run because their attendance is better than other teams and their merchandise sales, things like that, are better. So I think that this really comes down to, yeah, a lot of once-in-a-lifetime stuff had to happen. And that, to me, is what people are losing sight of. It was a once-in-a-lifetime thing that they were purchased by a broke owner in Frank McCourt. And the Dodgers were done wrong by Major League Baseball by approving of that sale, which ultimately derailed the franchise for a long time, for almost a decade. And then you add the fact that they've taken on these risky contracts. There was a risky contract to sign Yamamoto. It was risky to extend Mookie Betts before he ever played a game. They gave that financial commitment to Shohei Ohtani. But let's not forget, whose idea was it to defer 97% of his contract? Was it the Dodgers? Did they slide over a contract and say, hey, man, we want you really bad, but don't you want talent around you? Don't you want us to be in the best position to make sure that you're not that Bugatti parked at the trailer park like you were in Anaheim? Don't you want to be surrounded with other guys that can win championships? Could you defer this money? No, the Dodgers wouldn't have done that. If they did that and he didn't want that, he'd probably be a Toronto Blue Jay right now. It was Shohei Ohtani who presented the idea to defer 97% of his contract because A, he wanted to win, which he has, 2 World Series titles in 2 years, and B, because he makes over $100 million in endorsements. So therein lies the second unicorn. The first unicorn was the Frank McCourt bankruptcy and the fact that the Dodgers were able to get the deal the way that they did because Time Warner threw $8.35 billion their way because they were launching a new network, and they made that deal, right? But the other unicorn is the unicorn. It is the fact that this is a once-in-a-generation type of player that can make that kind of money through endorsements. Even the greatest players of this generation can't do that. Aaron Judge can't do that. Bryce Harper can't do that. Ronald Acuna Jr. can't do that. Paul Skeens can't do that. Mookie Betts, Mike Trout can't do that. And Shohei Ohtani, he makes more money in endorsements than all of those players I just mentioned combined. And that's because he's a unicorn. He's a once in a sport, once in a planet's existence level player. You would have to go to other sports to find that level of endorsement money that he could earn. We're talking prime Tiger Woods. We're talking prime Michael Jordan, Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, those types of names. There hasn't been a baseball player that's come close to being as internationally marketable as Shohei Ohtani that can get these lucrative deals. So it just so happened that that dude wanted to play for the Los Angeles Dodgers because of an organization that they put together. And look, great proximity to Japan. He enjoyed his time in Southern California. Look, let's accept the fact that you need a little luck. Let's accept that there's a little luck involved here. And have the Dodgers been lucky? Yes. But they've also been the biggest reason why they're as successful as they are. Because they're reinvesting their money. God forbid someone wants to throw more money in their franchise. Right? So the Dodgers aren't ruining baseball. The Dodgers are running baseball. And they're doing it by the rules. And yes, this TV contract provides them a competitive advantage. But you're an absolute bootlicker if you think that your cheap owner is going to take this money and reinvest it into their franchise. Just look at the Marlins, look at the Brewers, look at all these owners that can spend more, but they're spending less because they're keeping more. So, look, in the words of Kike Hernandez, we don't give an F, and we want to apologize to absolutely no one. The triple champ does what he wants, and that triple champ is going to be the Los Angeles Dodgers next season. All right, we got Moose. I love when Doug gets pissed off. I mean, it's just funny to me. Like, we'll talk more about. I'm actually working on a video about this that'll probably drop at some point in the next couple of weeks. Me and BDR, Big Dog Rob, are cooking it up to just kind of we got to just let people know that these brokies out there, these broke boy mentality owners, they're trying to say the Dodgers have this competitive. And look, I'm okay with saying it's a competitive advantage, but I still think they earned that competitive advantage. And here's the thing. If they want to restructure it, and the Dodgers want to share more, I will still bet on the Dodgers because it's the decisions they make on the margins that are reasons why they're winning. So I'm not mad at it. Really, I'm not.
Man, scared money don't make money. If you ain't trying to spend, you ain't going to make. That's just
exactly. Scared money don't make none. The words of the great Tribe Called Quest, for sure. Super 1999 super chat. Wow. We're not going to defer any of this money. Me and BDR can use it for lunch. D-Mac, after watching the video that you just showed us and seeing that Steve Cohen and Mark Cuban wanted to buy the Dodgers, do you believe would have bought the Dodgers, we would be in the position we are right now? It's a very good question. I did a video called Frankrupt about the ownership of Frank McCourt, and I hate the fact that we have to bring him up anytime we talk about this stuff. It does make me want to vomit, and it is nightmare fuel. But the answer to your question is, I personally do not, because the guy that is the biggest reason why the Dodgers are having this level of success is because you have Andrew Friedman. And would Stephen Cohen, would he have hired Andrew Friedman? Would Mark Cuban have hired Andrew Friedman? We'll never know. But the truth is the Guggenheim Group did. And he was a guy that he could make $100 bill stretch, right? He's a guy that can go to the grocery store with $100 bill and he comes home and he's got a lot of food, right? He can find a way to make it stretch in Tampa Bay. But when he came to LA, they didn't give him a $100 bill. They gave him a couple black cards, right? And it was unlimited funds. And he didn't just max it out the first couple of years. He went and he was smart and he developed the farm system. Let's not forget, who was the guy that hit the game-winning home run in the World Series? Who was it? Checks notes. Oh, that's right. A player they drafted and developed. Will Smith, the clutch prince. Oh, who's the guy that hit the game-tying home run? The biggest home run in Dodgers history, in my estimation. One of the biggest home runs in sports in Major League Baseball World Series history, Miguel Rojas. He was the 287th highest paid player in Major League Baseball last season, making just over $5 million. So you mean to tell me this? You mean to tell me this baseball fan out there that is sick and tired of the Dodgers winning everything? Weren't you the same fan that said Mickey Mouse ring after 2020? Weren't you the same ring that called Clayton Kershaw and the Dodgers chokers, and that didn't matter how much they spend, they were still going to lose in the postseason? And then now all of a sudden that they're winning, now you want to say that they're ruining baseball? Well, let me tell you this. The Dodgers were a Miguel Rojas home run away from going down as one of the most disappointing teams in sports history. The Washington Post called the Dodgers regular season the most disappointing regular season in baseball history. And if the 287th highest paid player, a player that any team in the sport could have acquired, a player that the Dodgers had the presence of mind to know that he was a gamer, that he was great for the clubhouse, that he was great for the dugout. If the 287th highest paid player doesn't hit that game-tying home run off of Hoffman, we're not having this conversation. If Shohei hit that home run, it would be more fuel for your narrative. If Freddie or Mookie hit that home run, it'd be more fuel for your narrative. But look at those guys. Those are both guys that played in big markets, that should have stayed in those big markets, but their franchises were cheap and didn't want to pay them. The Red Sox didn't want to pay Mookie Betts. The Braves didn't want to pay Freddie Freeman. And the Angels didn't even make an offer for Shohei Ohtani. Cry more. Dodgers aren't ruining baseball. They are running baseball. And you better hope that there's a strike. You better hope that there's a salary cap. And even when there is, the Dodgers are going to find out what the rules are, and they're going to put together the best roster. And it's because of the people in the organization and the fact that players want to play here. That's the biggest reason why they're successful as they are. But all right, switching gears, Shohei Ohtani, he was at the BBWAA awards ceremony. So life isn't fair. Like, a guy who is as good as Shohei Ohtani, the best baseball player to ever walk the earth, he should not look like that. Like, he looks like he should be playing James Bond.
He's handsome, for sure.
Like, I mean, BDR ain't afraid to say it. I ain't afraid to say it. I mean, but this dude looks like a movie star, plays like a superhero.
Superman, baby.
He is Superman. Go cop BDR's shirt and watch his trailer, okay? I always like it. Looking out for number one is always BDR. I love that about you. But what's so cool about Shohei is there's just such an elegance to everything he does. And he accepted his award, 4-time MVP now, got all the unanimous MVPs, and he delivered his speech in English, which was very impressive. Here was Shohei Ohtani receiving his MVP award, and here's the speech they delivered. And my man, dude looks like he's ready to go to the Oscars. All right. I mean, the black on black, a great look for Shohei, and very impressed by his speech. I'll give a listen. You love to see it. I mean, Major League Baseball is so lucky. We talk about the health of the game, and think about that. Major League Baseball has an international superstar, photogenic, looks like a movie star, and he plays both sides, offense and defense, pitching and hitting, and he does it at the highest level. I mean, just look at him there. You end up thinking Decoy, which was awesome. You know, Decoy's the MVP too. That's incredible stuff. And just Shohei Ohtani, man, we're living in the golden age of Dodger baseball. This is exactly how it must have felt to live in Chicago in the late 80s and early 90s as far as having the GOAT in the peak of his powers. I wish he had played his entire career. I wish he could play his entire career with the Los Angeles Dodgers. But one thing I will say is you can hate the Dodgers, but you can't hate Shohei. There's no way you can hate Shohei. Hate the Dodgers all you want. I get the Dodgers hate. Hell, if I wasn't a Dodgers fan, I'd hate the Dodgers too. I'd be the biggest hater there ever was towards this franchise because I'd be absolutely jealous that my franchise wasn't as well run as they are. But you can't hate Shohei Ohtani because he's not just good for the Dodgers, he's great for the game. He's developing the game. I can't tell you how many times in the comments this year I've heard people ask me the most generic questions. I had a comment after one of my shows, D-Mac, what does BA mean? And is it good to have a 323 BA? Right? And they were talking about batting average. They didn't say 323, they said 323. And I'm not questioning this person's ball knowledge because I actually responded to the comment, and then they responded back saying that they're from Thailand and just got into baseball because of Shohei Ohtani. So that's why they had no idea what batting average was, and they want to watch and listen and be fans of Shohei Ohtani. So guess what? I ain't gatekeeping this sport. I'm not gatekeeping the Dodgers. You can be hardcore. You can get into the weeds with me on advanced stats. But if you just want to tune in and marvel at Shohei Ohtani too, it's good for baseball. That's when sports are at their healthiest. When you have the hardcores, they're always locked in. The junkies like you are always going to be locked in. It's when you can get and attract the most general of fans, that's when you're absolutely going next level. Thai food is good, D-Mac. I totally agree. Give me some pad CU. I was sick this weekend. Had some Tom Kha. I think that's how you say it. That coconut soup. Thai food's great.
Fancy.
Thai, I go hard on the Thai food. What else? Pad CU, pad Thai. I don't know. Where you at on Thai food? Are you Rob?
I'm a big Thai food guy. I love Thai food. What, they got the pineapple fried rice too?
Hit the pineapple fried rice. That's, man, making me hungry for sure. All right, so let's get caught up on some Dodgers news here. Michael Ciani has been claimed. Michael Ciani was claimed by the New York Yankees off of waivers. The Dodgers DFA'd him on Wednesday to make room for Kyle Tucker on the 40-man roster. And we talked about whether or not he was going to be a possibility if he passed through waivers. The fact that he would not be able to elect for free agency, the Dodgers would throw him back into their system. But the Yankees picked him up. Defensively, that's where he shined. 17 career outs above average in over 1,000 innings of work. And offensively, he's like a 220 hitter. So he's not someone that's an impact bat. But Michael Ciani is not going to go and stay with this Dodgers organization. So that's the news we got there. As far as the roster projection, we're going to spend some time talking about this week. Now, the 26-man roster is pretty much set. Brandon Gomes did have some thoughts about it at the Kyle Tucker press conference. He was asked about the Dodgers roster and players wanting to play there. He said this. He said, quote, "I think the way that the Dodgers organization and our staff take care of players and families is getting around the league. We've had agents reach out and say, hey, I know you haven't called, but our player would really like to play there. So we're feeling it way more over the last 3 or 4 years. That's the ultimate, because obviously winning is everything, but you can win by creating that environment. And by creating that environment, you get your own players to want to stay. You get your players from other organizations who want to join in. And that's how championships are won. It's not something we'll ever take lightly and put our feet up and say, okay, we've done it. It's kind of a living organism that you have to continue to nurture and enhance. But I feel like we've made a ton of progress on that front. And it's something that is very real and tangible and playing out in free agency. So who knows who's going to call up the Dodgers and want to be a part of the team. But for the most part, the roster is set. I asked Andrew Friedman about the left field situation in Teoscar Hernandez. He confirmed to me that Teo is excited to move back to left field, and the outfield is going to look like Teo in left, Paz in center, and Kyle Tucker in right field. And then the question becomes, what does the bench look like? Does Kike Hernandez come back? I expect that he does. And then he signs and goes on the 60-day IL. But lineup-wise, this is what you're going to see. They've already told us that you're going to see Kyle Tucker either batting second or batting third. Tucker's a guy, he's hit over 30 home runs in his career. He can hit close to 300 at the plate. He can steal you 20-plus bases. He can walk more than he strikes out. He doesn't strike out much. Really good bat-to-ball skills. So it's going to be Shohei Ohtani batting leadoff. We know that. That one you can write in Sharpie. Behind him, do you put Kyle Tucker second or do you put Mookie second in the hopes that he rebounds from a down year offensively in 2025? I think like they have his entire time here, they're going to bet on bets. And they're going to give him some runway batting in the 2-hole. If it doesn't work out, we saw in Game 6 of the World Series, you can move Mookie Betts down the lineup, and he can be productive down there. He's not the fastest player. He's a below-average runner at this point. But if Mookie is Mookie, it still makes sense to bat him second in the lineup. So Shohei first, Mookie second, and then the biggest question that they're going to have to answer, Dave Roberts, Andrew Friedman, and the powers that be when it comes to constructing the Dodgers lineup is, what do you do 3 and 4? I think if Mookie's second, naturally, they've already confirmed that Tucker's going to be batting second or third. So I think it'll be Kyle Tucker batting third. And then behind him, I have no issue batting Freddie Freeman, another lefty, stacking 2 lefties because they both have even splits. They both can hit both sides. But it starts to get a little left, right, and it's left Shohei, right Mookie, then left with Kyle Tucker and Freddie Freeman. And then after that, batting fifth, you're going to throw Will Smith in there as a right-handed batter. And then behind Will Smith, batting sixth, do you stagger the lineup again with Max Muncy, a lefty, or do you have Teoscar Hernandez? I think what they'll probably do is they'll mix and match a little bit with Muncy and Teo, but I think you will see them stagger at the beginning. So you'll have Muncy sixth and then Teo seventh. Just doesn't really make sense. I mean, he's too good of a hitter to bat seventh. I almost have to believe that you would see him sixth, but it's going to be some combination of Teo and Muncy. And the last two is going to be Andy Pages, Tommy Edman if he's healthy, or Andy Ibanez if Tommy Edman's not good to go to start the season. But either Tommy Edman, Andy Ibanez, Hae-Sung Kim, Miguel Rojas will be your starting second baseman. So as far as the roster goes, that's where you're at. So 2 catchers, Will Smith, Dalton Rushing. You also have Chucky Robinson, the organization. 6 infielders, Freddie Freeman, Tommy Edman, Mookie Betts, Max Muncy, Miguel Rojas, and Andy Ibanez. The big question there is, will Tommy Edman be ready to go to start the season? Will he start the season on the IL? I don't think he will. But you also have Hae-Sung Kim, who's still retooling that swing. They want to see some success out of him. Probably want to give him regular at-bats to start the season down in AAA. Alex Freeland's another option. Gets more at-bats down in AAA. You got Noah Miller. You got Ryan Fitzgerald, who was DFA, but's back inside the organization. So that is kind of where they're at from the position player side. And then the pitching side, two-way, Shohei, starting pitchers, Yamamoto, Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, Emmet Sheehan, and Roki Sasaki. Those are your 5 starting pitchers. But then as far as a 6-man rotation goes, will River Ryan start the season in the show or will it be down AAA? Gavin Stone, the same situation. You might want to give those guys some runway down in AAA, get them ready. And if there's an injury, then those are the first guys that you call up. But then you also have Justin Robleski, Ben Kasparius, Kyle Hurt, Bobby Miller, Nick Frasso, and Nick Nastrini. It's a very deep rotation. And then you go to the bullpen pieces, the relievers that are locks, Edwin Diaz, Tanner Scott, Alex Vesia, that's 3. Blake Trinan, Jack Dreyer, Bruce Dargrado, Anthony Bondon, Ben Kasparius, Brock Stewart. He could start the year on the IL. Evan Phillips could sign with the team and go on the IL at the beginning of the season. But I look at the depth for the bullpen. It is ridiculous. Like Justin Robleski needs to be in the bullpen the entire season. Robo's an absolute dog. Just ask Jimenez, who he punked in the World Series. Will Klein has big league level stuff, and they're still developing him. Edgardo Enriquez, Ronan Cobb, Paul Gervais, Bobby Miller, I think could be due for a change of scenery. We'll see what happens with that. They try to trade him to get some prospects. You leave off the 40-man roster. Kyle Hurt's coming back from injury. A lot of potential there. Jose Rodriguez, Carlos Duran. And then the same thing goes with Nick Nastrini and Nick Frosso too. So lots of talent. We'll see who's able to make it through camp healthy. And if they do pick up Evan Phillips and Kike Hernandez to start the season. Because the outfield mix, you're also going to see from the bench, you're going to see Alex Call, who's still in this organization. And Alex Call is a guy that I know that they at least were talking about as far as would they move him when they were making the move for Kyle Tucker. But the outfield, you've got Kyle Tucker, Teoscar Hernandez, Andy Paz, those are the locks. Alex Call, still in the mix, right-handed bat off the bench. That bench bat situation, very righty-heavy. Kike Hernandez is expected to sign with this team based on my sources from the winter meetings, based on people you talk to. It'd be a shocker if Kike doesn't return to this organization. And then behind him, Ryan Ward. That's the wild card. Brandon Gomes already said that Ryan Ward is going to get an opportunity during spring training. How does he look? Does he go crazy? We saw Puig a couple years back, right? Back in when Puig was Major Puig and it was Puig Mania. I mean, he had a really good run in spring training, but it didn't result in getting those early opportunities. James Outman having success down in AAA and also during spring training. How does Ryan Ward take advantage of that opportunity? Does he look really good? And then they trade him, right? He's another guy that, look, let's just be honest, that outfield is set, barring injury or a massive slump by Andy Pages. And even if Andy Pages struggles, I mean, his value is going to come with him being a center fielder and his growth defensively at that position. So the outfield's a lock. I mean, Tucker, of course, is going to play 150 plus games if he's healthy. Andy Paz could do that as well. And Teo, 120, 130 games, right? You kind of bake in some IL time in there, groin, hamstring, something like that. Make sure he's good to go for the postseason. But Ryan Ward, where are those at bats? Like, is there 200 at bats in there? Probably not. So that's going to be a big question is what is the plan for Ryan Ward? He's a guy that definitely deserves an opportunity to see if he can be an everyday player and crack an opening day roster. And he would get that opportunity for a lot more teams out there, the Dodgers not being one of them. Behind them, you got James Tibbs III. He's someone that is climbing, of course, the Dodgers. They got him in the Dustin May trade. That was a major fleece job. Dustin May, by the way, code red, the highest paid player on the St. Louis Cardinals. And it's the Dodgers that are ruining bait. If Dustin May is your highest paid player, you can basically get those reservations ready for Cancun. Like, you just can't. Like, you are not going to win a World Series or contend if Dustin May is your highest paid player at $12.5 million. Okay. Enjoy Cancun. Okay. You also have Zach Earhart, who's in the mix too, but that's how it's going to look. That's how it's going to look. Those are the guys that you're going to see on that roster. All right, guys, we got some comments in the chat. I see you guys buzzing in the chat. Now, do I think the Dodgers will make another move? I see that right here. We'll talk about that next on the 7th inning stretch.
The 7th inning stretch.
I still prefer Rottweiler over rushing. You're talking about Don Davies, talking about Ben Rortvet, Benny the Rottweiler. Yeah, Benny the Rort Rodriguez. That was the name that we cooked up, right? All-time classic. Yeah, look, he's moved on. But I disagree. As good of a game caller as Ben Rortvet was, he definitely fits as a really plus backup catcher. I think Dalton Rushing has bigger upside as a bat. And I asked Dave Roberts about this in Orlando about Dalton Rushing's role. And what he told me was with the successful season that Will Smith had in 2025, that they might look to continue on that plan and maybe even increase Dalton Rushing's playing time behind the dish because they saw the best version of Will Smith and he didn't break down as the season went along. So I think he's going to give you more opportunities at catcher. I think that with Freddie Freeman getting up there as far as his baseball age goes, he could see some time at first. And I really like his upside play as a bat. And if he rakes and he's doing Dalton Rushing things and we're seeing Dalton crushing and him hit the ball hard, which he did at the minor league level when he was seeing over 4 pitches per at bat, very Max Muncy-like as far as his at-bat quality, it only helps you. You could cash him in and trade him for something, or you can enhance his role. But I still like them betting on Dalton Rushing and a homegrown talent that can hit. And that's what the Dodgers are prioritizing. You can find a lot of guys that can play defense. You can find a lot of players out there that can play average to above average defense, but it's very difficult to find guys that can hit big league pitching at an above average level consistently. And he brings you that. We got Don Davis. What is up? Alexander D-Mac. What are the chances that Shohei could be the face of the MLB logo in the future? Wouldn't that be nice? Huh? It's an interesting take. That's an interesting take because the MLB logo is actually no one. It's not based on a player. It's not based on a player. There were a lot of rumors out there that the MLB logo was based on Harmon Killebrew, but the designer actually denied that. He said that it was completely not true. It's not Harmon Killebrew. And of course, the NBA logo is Jerry West. And that's an iconic logo. But could it be Shohei? I don't think it is. And I wouldn't change it. I mean, the MLB logo. So this is my take on the MLB logo. It always made me laugh. Like, if you look at the MLB logo, here's the ball. It's like right here. And here's the hitter. And he hasn't even gotten into his swing. And the ball's right there. So either he's just taking a pitch and he's looking at strike 3, he's working the count, but it's not like he's about to slug that and hit that for a home run, right? So I don't think they should change it just because that one's iconic. It's classic. I mean, think of the MLB logo on the back of a New Era hat, in the back of a jersey. I think it's just too iconic to change. I just wouldn't. I think it looks clean. I like the fact that it's not a player that you can attach. I mean, Jerry West has talked about how that logo almost was something that embarrassed him throughout his career because it just was a lot of pressure and things like that. So I like Shohei Ohtani's New Balance logo. It's a really cool logo where he's running because you really can't have him hitting because he's a pitcher and you can't have him pitching because he's a hitter. So I think that they did a really good job on his New Balance logo. But yeah, I don't think I would change the logo because that's the thing too. Is one silhouette of Shohei Ohtani doesn't do him justice. It really doesn't. I mean, I don't know how you can come with a logo where he's hitting and pitching at the same time. But let me know. Would you guys change the logo? Let me know. We got trade rushing. Okay. Shohei is going to star in Rush Hour 47. Keith Potter. Hey, it's a great movie. Rush Hour 1, 2, and 3. What's your favorite Rush Hour? BDR.
Oh man, gotta go Rush Hour 2 on that one. You know.
Yeah, that one's Ricky Tan. I think Ricky Tan was the first one, but yeah, I mean, that one's they don't make it like that anymore. Let's put it that way. Lee and shout out to Carter. Foxy Cinnamon. Shohei's suit was super clean. Love to see it. I mean, the dude looks like an actor. Like, I'm not ready to put Shohei on my Man Crush Monday post or something, but I mean, the dude looks like he's like the perfect specimen. Like, he's like, here's the thing: Shohei Ohtani. If he was like an LA1, you know what I mean? Like, he would still be a superstar, but he's like an LA 10. Like, the dude he's blessed, as my mom would say. Terry, the clubs that receive the money from more profitable teams' TV deal, they should show and prove they reinvested that money on their team by signing players or re-signing or extending their players. I like that. It's a home run take right there. Controlled by the court, not McCourt. There you go. Snafu. BC. There was no CBT when the Yankees won all their World Series. They should nullify all of them since Major League Baseball let them win according to this logic. Yeah, exactly. Yo, D-Mac, they can't afford the carne asada premium cuts. I know, right? Exactly. I love that one. I'll give you a nice little finisher for that. I guess we kind of thank McCourt for that. I mean, hey, I did a whole, I'll leave the link down below. I spent a lot of time. I spent seriously a billion hours on this little 30-minute video I did on little mini YouTube doc, I guess, on Frank McCourt, and it tells you how, yeah, he played everyone. He really did. Like, him and his wife were by far the two weirdest human beings that were living in Los Angeles from like 2004 to 2010. Like, they actually, part of the one thing, first of all, they tried to make her the president, right? They tried to make her, they thought that she was going to run for the president of the United States. And she was nuts. She was absolutely nuts. And one thing they did, and one thing they spent the Dodgers money on, him and Jamie McCourt, they actually hired a psychic. They hired a psychic, and they paid this psychic to think blue. I kid you not. They paid a psychic. They were like, hey, could you just like think blue, think good thoughts for the Dodgers? And they actually gave them Dodgers money. Like, it's just one of a million examples of how ridiculous they were. I remember I drove by their house in the Holmby Hills, which is right across the street from the Playboy Mansion. Like, they literally live right across the street from the Playboy Mansion. In like the most ridiculous, I think I saw Rob go pull into the Playboy Mansion, by the way. Now they think of it, back in the Hugh Hefner heyday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Dodgers offseason gets an A from Justin Lamas. Yeah. It's tough to say the Dodgers offseason doesn't get an A. It's tough to say that the Dodgers could have done anything more than like they got an A on the midterm. They got an A on the final. They got an A on all the quizzes in between, because you look at their needs. It was like, okay, we're hoping to upgrade the outfield position. We're hoping to upgrade the bullpen and get Edwin Diaz and get a Kyle Tucker. Those were dreams. Like, no one was actually thinking those were realistic possibilities. I had Edwin Diaz my number one target, but I didn't necessarily think that he was going to leave New York. And you got to give them credit, because they upgraded at the positions that they were hoping to upgrade, and they did it on the highest level. They got the best reliever that was available, and they got him at their price, $69 million. You didn't have to give him 4 or 5 years. They gave him 3 years. Then you look at Kyle Tucker. They got premium talent on a 4-year deal with an opt-out after the second year. So none of the guys they brought in are going to compromise their future past the next 3 or 4 years. So they're going to sell some flexibility to add more piece around Shohei Ohtani towards the end of his prime. So look, it's incredible. It really, truly is. The fact that they were able to get those types of players that still can help a team three-peat next season without compromising and putting at risk their future, it's an absolute A. Like, if the Dodge, it's like getting Kyle Tucker was like you were hoping to get a PS5 and your parents got you a Ferrari. Like, you got something that you didn't even think was possible. Like, you thought he might go to the Blue Jays. And I saw Bobby Witt Jr., he was saying that Kyle Tucker wanted to sign with the Blue Jays or whatever it may be. That stuff always happens when you're in the red zone of free agency. When you're at the goal line, there's always things firing left and right as far as rumors go. But I can tell you, the Dodgers, that Zoom meeting that they had with Kyle Tucker and his wife and talking about living in Los Angeles and giving back to the community, he was serious about being a Dodger the entire time. And hey, what would have happened if he signed with the Blue Jays? I guess we'll never know, right? If he signed with the Mets, I guess we'll never know, right? The bottom line is he's a Dodger now, and all that stuff is irrelevant and doesn't even matter. We've got Peek. These MLB owners need to start putting the Dodgers charity to actual use on their own teams or give them up entirely. Yeah, there has to be some transparency there. I could not agree more. Joe Man, Puig was shocked Kershaw gave him some type of credit. Not shocking. Yeah, talking about when Puig was on this show. Yes, we got Keith Potter. Even if they implement a salary cap, the Dodgers will have the best farm system, facilities, trainers, coaches, and overseas presence. Yeah, 100% fact. There's a lot of things you can do. Take the Lakers, for example. The Lakers and Jeannie Buss, who has not invested in player development and trainers, and she would go cheap on all that stuff. Whereas the Lakers, they can spend, and she was talking about how that luxury tax bill and not getting the results from that. The Dodgers can spend as much money on coaches as they want. They can spend as much money on development as they want. And you're right. That's going to be an inherent advantage that they're going to have until the end of time, as long as this ownership group is behind this team. Okay, a couple more here. We got Carl Owens. I like signing Luis Ariz and batting him ninth and playing second base. We got Sean Klein, A+, 99.5%, only because no second Ohtani signed LOL. So that's the thing. It's like, I give it an A because A+ is when you sign Shohei Ohtani. The standard is too high now that unless Shohei Ohtani has a son that becomes the next Shohei Ohtani years down the road, and it's him and Charlie Kershaw in that version of the Dodgers, you're never going to top that off season. But an A, that works for me. But all right, guys, I like this one. We got Sammy Boy. If we lose Yam, Glass, Snell, and Show during the season, we'll definitely trade for Skubal. Look, the Tarek Skubal, the Dodgers thing, that rumor is not going to go away. And you're right. Look for the health of those guys. If they do lose one or two of them, they will be active to try to get a starting pitcher. South Central Dodgers for life. The 213 bleeds blue. That's from Sir Centro. Give you Dodgers for life. All right, guys, we're running out of time, so let's get to the walk-off.
The walk-off.
Hits the ball to right field. She is gone.
All right, today for the walk-off. It looks like Yu Darvish. We'll see what happens with his career as far as retiring. But how about old friend Hanser Alberto? He was a shot in the arm, big vibes guy. He announced his retirement on Instagram. Hanser Alberto. He was really the official Dodgers mascot that year. He has announced his retirement. Hanser Alberto, kind of a deeper cut as far as the Dodgers and players they've had in their past. And we'll see if Yu Darvish walks away from his contract. So that's the other really interesting one. Yu Darvish is contemplating retirement. Over the weekend, he clarified reports that he was going to retire, saying that while he has indeed contemplated calling it a career, he's not made a final decision. That negotiations between himself, the Padres, and the MLBPA regarding the final years of his contract remain ongoing. He did undergo surgery on his UCL in November. That's going to cost him the entire 2026 season. He's owed $43 million over the next couple of seasons from 2026 to 2028. If he does decide to retire and the Padres can work out a deal with him, and along with the MLBPA, that can shorten the financial burden of that contract, it could give them some extra financial flexibility. So the Padres, they might want to be in the mix for some other starters, maybe add another position player. So Yu Darvish contemplating calling it a career. And once again, I will say that the Houston Astros owe him the biggest and deepest of apologies, because outside of Clayton Kershaw, no one on that 2017 Dodgers team's legacy took a bigger hit than Yu Darvish. The things people were saying about him, the DMs calling him the nastiest of things, you garbage. I remember it all. And it was because they were cheating. So let's not forget that. Yu Darvish acquired that year, really helped the Dodgers. Should they have gone Verlander? Fine. I'm okay with that. But Yu Darvish, absolutely beloved by Team Japan, beloved around Major League Baseball, one of the great guys in the game. I hope that he's at peace with his decision either way. And Yu Darvish, hey, you went to battle for the Dodgers, and we will not forget that anytime soon. But that's going to do it for this episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. Join us in a little bit on the LA Sports Report. We are doing a little Rams post-mortem. What's next for the Rams? Also talking more Dodgers over there. I've got LA Times writer Bill Shakin on after the show. We're going to interview him. Maybe we'll play that here and the LA Sports Report. So look out for that. But enjoy the rest of your day. Subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. My name is Doug McKain. Follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. Also, special thanks to producer BDR, Big Dog Rob. Rock with us, killing it on the production today. We'll see you guys tomorrow. And remember that nothing, absolutely nothing, brings us together quite like Dodger baseball. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.
Start the party, Los Angeles! Your Dodgers have won the World Series!
upcoming winter gives way to spring, rest assured, once again, it will be time for Dodger baseball.